What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast. Andre, how you doing, man?
I'm doing phenomenal. Had funny times this week as well as completed a few games.
Oh, cool. And we have a guest with us this week, Gilligan Stash. Let everybody know who you are.
Hey guys, this is Gilligan Stash here, a really good friend of Andre, the game idea guy, and also by extension Jay Fleming, uh, and was once a former member of the Gamers at Large podcast all those years ago. But it's good to be back once again. Uh oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh oh.
Daddy's at large, I guess. Great to have you, Gilligan. What you been playing, man? Anything cool lately?
I've been like playing like a few games as of late. Most notably comes to mind is the Anton Blast demo, which I highly recommend downloading it onto the Switch if you haven't already. It's really cool. Especially if you love Wario Land 4, Wario's greatest achievement. Yeah, and let's see. I've also been playing Penny's Big Breakaway on Switch, which is something that I do want to talk a little bit about in terms of the topic. I definitely do want to have in mind later in the podcast if it's possible. Um, and finally, the game that I've been super addicted to lately is Fortnite. Funny enough, Fortnite of all games, like that. The long story short, that game actually sort of rekindled my interest in online multiplayer gaming as of late.
Oh, okay, cool. Andre, what about you, man? What you been playing? Andre left again. So,
Yeah, he's taking care of his kids.
yeah. All right. So I basically jumped into the because we had that Indie World video presentation that came out Thursday, I think it was. You can check our live reaction on the channel. I played that Europa demo. I've also played the Cat Quest 3 demo. Been playing Shaolin versus Wu Tang 2 over on Xbox because it showed up there, but I don't think it showed up anywhere else. I played the first one on Switch because it's there on Switch. And if you are a fan of those old school Kung Fu Theater type characters, I think you'll probably get a kick out of it. Also been playing Tekken 8, a little bit of Tekken 8, trying to get better at that. I actually enjoyed that game. It's a lot of fun. And I recently got back into Mortal Kombat 1 just to take a look and see if they fixed a lot of stuff and they did. Ermac is actually not that bad of a character to play with, so there's that. I think I still don't really care for Peacemaker or I still don't care for the Peacemaker character. I don't really care about that character being in Mortal Kombat. I know that's kind of weird to say, but yeah, that character I kind of wish they would have kept to like old school Mortal Kombat characters, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. Let us know in the comments what you guys been playing and what you've been up to. Let us know if you got anything cool to any kind of cool game recommendations you got. We love to hear them. Okay, you're back. What you been playing, Andre?
I've been playing. I finished Unicorn Overlord 100% at that. I'd actually finished it last week, and then this past week I 100%ed the rest of it because the game was good enough. It drew me in enough. I wanted to do it.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
Then I got back into playing. Started playing Virtual Fighter 2 and Fighting Vipers, and realized how irritating those games were once you got to the higher levels. Because it's like the first few opponents start off decent fights, and after like the fifth stage for both of those games, damn near any and everything you do gets countered in some way, shape, or form. And it's like me knowing how the attacks are supposed to hit, and I know when my attacks are supposed to hit, and that the computer can either block or get an attack in that very short amount of time. I'm like, yeah, this game is set to cheat like hell. Just like old school Street Fighter 2. You get to a certain point where you know where your stuff is supposed to connect, but somehow the computer still hits you.
Yeah.
No daggone way.
You know what's funny? I actually got Unicorn Overlord by winning a raffle at a gamer an in-person gamer event called Switch and Play NYC.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I have yet to touch it though. But because I just have so much going on personally. But I will get around to it eventually
It's understandable.
to give it a try.
It's a long game, so once you get into it, take your time with it.
Yeah, I'll try to give it a chance as much as I can.
Well, the demo is fun, so.
And I'm not going to spoil the good part of the story because that would really suck. But there is a surprise toward the end of the game depending on what you do.
Interesting.
And it's a surprise that's worth being a surprise.
Interesting. What's up, Sandstorm, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Making it. What you playing?
So I actually just before I left to drop my son off, I was playing Starfield. I finally got back into that. Let's see, Tales of Vesperia. That's
fun game.
Yeah, it's weird. I said this yesterday. It's weird because I'm like still on the fence on it, and I put in probably about a good 15, 20 hours into it.
You're just about to get the good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I've never played a game where I've been on the fence for like so long, and like because like I bought it for $10, it's definitely a buy. I do like the characters. I will say I like the main character.
Have you unlocked Mystic Arts yet?
What is the so basic arts, then what's
Fatal
after
Strikes?
Fatal Strikes, yep.
Fatal Strikes. Have you gotten to the point where your character has like a little anime picture of themselves before they do the move, and then they do the move?
Okay, no.
You ain't there yet. Wait till you get to your Mystic Arts. You're gonna be trying to do the mugs every battle.
Okay. Yeah, I know. We did. What's the weak points? The one with the weak points. It's like the
Fatal
one
Slash.
Fatal Slash. Yeah.
Fatal Slash and Link Slashes.
Yeah. So we've done all that. I've gotten a few of the characters. I think we're missing just one left, and I'm pretty sure that's the little pirate girl or whatever.
Yeah, she comes in. She comes and goes.
Yeah. So yeah, right. I've noticed that. Yeah. So, but I'm having fun with the combat. It's definitely a Tales game. Having fun with the combat. The story is keeping me interested enough to keep going. Like I'm really trying to figure out like who's the real bad guy. Like who's the main bad guy? Because the bad guy that we've been following this whole time, I'm like, you weak sauce. Like I don't know why we still chasing you and you keep getting away. Like this is a
that's not the real bad guy.
And I know that's why I'm like, you can't. There's no way possible for you to be the bad guy when you this whack. Like, and get him. Kill him! Get him!
Yeah. That's not that guy.
Hey, Sandstorm. I guess this is the first time we met.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm Gilligan Stats. A good friend of Andre, the Game Idea guy, also known from Jay Fleming here.
Appreciate you coming through, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Vesperia is it's one of my top Tales games.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wish we would have got Grace's Tales of Grace's F on Switch, but we're not gonna talk about that. Bandai Namco being Bandai Namco. I still don't understand why they didn't put them damn Tales games on it. Okay, so that being said, we got 4 months. Oh no, what I want to talk about before. So is that okay?
Yeah.
So this past week, it's got confirmed that John Wick himself is Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 3, which is releasing in December. Sandstorm, your thoughts?
So
I don't know how to feel about it personally.
yeah, because I'm kind of of two minds. You know, can I see Shadow being like what are you saying? I can dodge bullets, you know?
Yes.
Maybe, but you know what's really messed me up with Shadow as of lately is RDC is like messed that whole thing
yeah.
up. Like,
RDC World, yeah.
yeah, like because Shadow just seems so gangster now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
but
that video game house when he showed up with a gun, like, bro.
so it's hard for me to like be like, okay, he's not like hood like that, but can I see his voice being played by Keanu and having that darker tone to it? Yeah, I could. And what's the movie that Keanu's in with like it's like the martial art movie where, you know, like the guy is like Tai Chi, has the Tai Chi abilities.
And the name of it is Tai Chi.
Is that what it's called?
I
Think so.
I think it's called Tai Chi. Tai Chi Warrior or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
he's
the
supposed to be
Matrix, I assume.
No. He's
Yeah.
like supposed to be like a underworld.
Yeah, he's
Type
on
of
the
lore.
Yeah, it's Tai Chi.
Yeah. Is it
Man
Tai
of
Chi?
Tai
Okay.
Chi.
Man of
Man
Tai
of Tai
Chi.
Chi.
Yeah. If he
Okay.
kind of brings that kind of intensity to it, I could definitely see it. Especially like in that end fight where he's kind of yelling and has like the high energy for Keanu Reeves. I can see that. I can see that play.
See, here's my only problem because, like, look, as much as I love Keanu Reeves, his voice never changes.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
That's a problem to me.
It doesn't change, but in this instance, it kind of fits Shadow because that's how he behaves.
But
Right.
I mean, it's Keanu though, so I keep hearing Keanu. I don't hear like out.
Well, now you'll just have to hear Shadow instead of Keanu.
Guys, I don't know what's going on. That's my problem. I'm like,
What you hear in Bill and Ted?
and I heard the same thing as John Wick. I'm like, why is John Wick sound like Bill and Ted?
He was also Duke Kaboom in Toy Story 4.
Yeah, that's all. Like,
that's right.
True. Yeah.
I keep hearing. I don't hear like. I just hear Keanu. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Keanu Reeves. Oh yeah, that's Keanu Reeves.
Because he really doesn't have much excitement in his voice.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's the only reason why I'm a little bit worried. But that's just me because I'm like, he's gonna say something and be like, God damn it, ain't that the line from Speed? That's pretty much what I'm gonna say. While I'm in the theater. Like, did he say that already?
I mean, expect like some of his movies to come up though. Like,
yeah, because they've been the first two movies. They kind of like manifested him into it because they talked about him in the first one. They talked about him in the second one. What movie was it in the second one? Because the first one was Speed. The second one was something else. I gotta go back and watch the second one. But yeah, they've talked about him a couple times. Like they trying to manifest him coming into it, and
that was what they was doing. That was
that's pretty much
what they was doing.
So yeah, all right, Andre, what do you think?
I mean, I'm okay with it. Again, because Shadow has this one-note personality, and as you pointed out, Keanu has kind of has a singular tone for how he talks. So it all makes sense to me.
All right, so Gillian, your thoughts?
So let's see. How do I start this? I guess I'll start with like, for those who are like a bit iffy about Keanu being casted as Shadow in Sonic Movie 3, put it this way. You know, I think Idris Elba as Knuckles was, especially the way how he sounded, hardly sounds like any other Knuckles that we have ever heard throughout like the game series or the TV
That's
shows
true.
and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But it's like I think at least for me, like I came to grow up. It began to grow on me over time, you know, and I don't really mind it. And as for like Keanu as Shadow, like I think it's how I put this. I think he's kind of low key perfect for Shadow. We just have to hear him playing as Shadow when we actually do get like the trailers and stuff or some scenes from that movie to finally hear it. Because this funny thing is like this whole voice acting thing. It reminds me of the bombshell of the Mario movie, Illuminations Mario movie. Where you have Chris Pratt as Mario, Jack Black as Bowser. But then like when the movie actually came out, like most of the cast, even like, in my opinion, Chris Pratt himself, like, kind of did a good job as Mario, and then Jack Black especially was like the best when he played as Bowser. You know, so despite being like Hollywood big celebrity actors, they did a very serviceable job voicing the characters. It's the same goes for like the Sonic movie and stuff. So that's my take. So I'm cautiously optimistic for Keanu as Shadow. I honestly can't wait. I just can't wait for Sonic Movie 3 to come out. Like it's been so long, but we're halfway there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I am glad that Jim Carrey's coming back at least one more time. Because after the second one, he was like, "Yeah, I'm retiring." I'm like, "Bro, come on, dude." The way they left that movie, I'm like, "Come on, man, you can't leave, not just yet." So I'm kind of glad because Jim Carrey is in rare form in the Sonic movies. I
Oh,
gotta give him.
speaking of Jim Carrey, not sure if you heard about like the leaks about it. Like apparently he's finally donning the fat suit in the third movie. Apparently, and then his eyes are apparently seen deemed depraved. That means like are they going for like that similar design that Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik and Sonic Saturday M Robotnik is going to be like in a sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
will be interesting if that was the case.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah. Because hey, all I know is as long as he's still psychotic, I'm gonna be in. I'm,
All
Oh, I'm
Jim Carrey,
sure he's going to
all
be
Jim
even
Carrey
more
has to
psychotic.
do, all he has to do, and even though I really don't like this movie, is play how he did the Riddler and Batman was Batman and
Batman
Robin. No, it was
Forever.
Batman
Oh
Forever.
yeah,
Batman Forever.
yeah,
Batman
If he
Forever.
plays,
He was the best part of that movie, dude.
yeah,
That
yes,
whole
he
movie
was.
was horrible,
That movie was trash, but
but
yes,
he was
was
the
the
best
best
part.
part of it.
what
But
are
if he
you
plays,
talking about? Seal sang the song.
no, Seal sang a good song
Don't
that had
make me
nothing
drop you
to
out
do
this
with the
podcast.
movie.
Don't make me drop you out this podcast.
And Seal sang a song that had nothing to do with that movie.
Yeah,
But if he plays like the more psychotic way he played the Riddler in that movie and he does Eggman that way, that's good. That's all we need. Especially if he's got the fat suit on at that point.
yeah.
To see him waddling around complaining about how he's out of shape.
With
Yeah.
Stone, with his sidekick. I
Yeah.
feel bad for his sidekick.
Agent
dude.
Stone.
Agent Stone. I feel so bad for him,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, bro, just leave, dog. Just
Does that
leave.
mean he'll finally be in his little robot, little
Probably.
floating?
Well,
car?
he had it. He has it, but the way they designed it is a little bit different in the first two movies. So they'll
No,
probably
see, he'll start doing the egg themed
yeah,
stuff
the egg
now.
thing stuff, yeah. Because he did call him Eggman in too. Like I never understood why people didn't understand where that came from. Because there were some people that was like, I don't like him calling him Eggman. Why is he calling him that? I'm like, dude, he's been calling him Eggman since Sonic Adventure 2.
Well, that's
Instead
also
of Robotnik.
Yeah.
actually technically he's always called him Eggman, but over in the States, they gave him Robotnik.
They won't. Okay, yeah, because I'm like, dude, I know in Sonic Adventure 2, that's when they pretty much all the time called him Eggman.
No,
like,
he started over here. They started in the first Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure 2, he said it more like he was being spiteful.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you know what's funny? I think according to like the lore of the story in the games, is like apparently like he goes by the name of Robotnik, but then Sonic just calls him Eggman as like a mocking name in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere similar like Baldy McNose here and Sonic Colors and stuff like that. But then Eggman, Robotnik decides to want to claim that Eggman name to now say it so that way he don't get like offended anymore or something like that. That's how
he did to take Sonic's power away.
That makes sense.
Like I said, N-word, but we're not gonna go.
Basically, him and Sonic is so spiteful of each other that any insults they come up with, the other one's going to claim the insult.
Yeah, he's claiming the insult. Yeah, that's exactly what Eggman did. He claimed that name Eggman, and that's it.
It was just funny that people didn't know that. I'm like, y'all.
Well, that just shows you one, that a lot of people aren't as deep into Sonic as they claim to be, and two, a lot of people that saw it didn't really know much about the games.
And I have more to say about that too. Like, I think there's a good chance that Jim Carrey's Robotnik is definitely gonna claim the name Eggman. He's gonna be calling himself as Eggman instead of being Robotnik anymore.
Yeah,
he'll actually become claim Eggman.
I would not be surprised they do that. The only problem I have with this movie is that only problem I really have with the series so far is that we've had Sonic meet Tails and Knuckles, and he's going to be meeting Shadow, but we have no idea where Amy is.
Yeah, Amy.
Yeah, and they did a good job in the first one of showing everybody, but like they left her out because you would have thought you would have saw her in the first one.
Because she met Amy before she met Tails. I mean, he met Amy before he met Tails. Goddamn.
Yeah.
I was two thoughts at the same time, but he met Amy before he met Tails, so it's like y'all skipped the whole. I guess because she's the obsessed fan and they don't know how to portray her without making her look as crazy as she is.
I'm guessing she's gonna have to show up in our world for her to become an obsessed fan. So I'm guessing that's how they're gonna have to do that.
Well,
I don't see any other way of doing it. The way they've had their story from the movies flowing, I don't see any other way to do that.
Well, to be fair, like considering how the very first Sonic movie first started with that ugly Sonic design from way back then, it seems like they really didn't know what they were doing with Sonic at the time. It wasn't until fan backlash when they decided, like with the director Jeff Fowler decided, you know what, let's try to fix it up the first movie as much as we can and even redesign Sonic. And that basically had genuinely saved the entire movie franchise as we know it.
Well, so that could be the case, but I'm still of the mindset that the ugly Sonic was done on purpose because someone in the studio, one of the higher ups in the studio wanted that, but they had because that trailer was leaked.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he didn't want to use that Sonic. He wanted to use the one he had, the one that we're familiar with now. Because that trailer leaking the way it did, it was like...
because it wasn't even supposed to... Because it leaked the beginning of the year in January.
And we was all in shambles.
And we weren't even supposed to get that trailer for like another month and a half or so.
Yeah, because I think the trailer was supposed to premiere in like March or something like that. And we got that out as soon as they cut it, apparently.
He cut it. It's like, I'm putting this right on Twitter in an anonymous account.
And the next thing you know, like, I think it was after the backlash, like, I want to say probably the middle of February, that whole thing had changed.
Because the way it happened was too fast. Is my
Yeah.
my thought process.
It was
Like
way too fast.
he had already had that second cut made.
Yeah.
As far as I could
Actually,
tell.
the first reveal trailer for Sonic Movie 1 was, I believe, around April of 2019. And that's when, like, I think like a month later they decided to to delay the movie until February 2020. And we didn't hear anything about, we didn't get like a brand new trailer of it until like November of 2019.
No, I mean I'm talking about the leak though. The leak happened before that. The leak happened
Oh.
on Twitter before the trailer happened.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
leak happened
yeah.
before the first trailer happened. Because
They're
pictures and
royalties,
everything.
yeah.
It was the picture. First came out was the pictures.
Yeah, I remember the picture.
Then the trailer actually leaked. Then the backlash hit. So it was more than just it was a lot. What's up, Shadow man? How you doing?
What's going on, y'all? That's an interesting title for the podcast, sir.
Oh yeah,
I am surprised. I don't see the ritual.
Yeah,
no one's done the ritual.
Yeah, no one. You did it yesterday. What are you talking about? You have to account for daylight savings time and time zone change. Like all of that is accountable. It's like seeing the price before you account for the tax. You know.
So Shadow, seeing as you're here, Gilgan, you want to do your topic?
Oh yeah, my topic. Oh yes, and perfect timing with Shadow Fox, because I think he's gonna love what I'm about to say about what I'm about to talk about. And my topic title is called "The Conundrum of the Nintendo Switch Hardware," right? And I'm gonna have to explain about how like some of these games or ports of the Nintendo Switch, this seems to either be optimized well or doesn't optimize very well. And sometimes I kind of think like in certain aspects, like some developers are either just not really taking advantage of the Switch's hardware as well as they should, or they're just completely flubbing. So I think like first things I wanted to go by is we talk about like the 2.5D games, right? On the Switch, and one of them being a game called Monimals, right? I think it came out on Apple Arcade first before it got ported to the Switch. And while in the Apple Arcade version, on the Apple Arcade version, like ran like a solid 60 frames per second, and it looks gorgeous. For the Switch version, again, despite being a 2.5D game, a 2D game with 3D graphics and stuff, like that version seemed to like run at 30 frames per second. And I think the resolution isn't as good. I think visually it doesn't look as good as the Apple Arcade version. And this was at the time where I had like the iPhone 6 at the time. It's not even like the most recent one I have now, the iPhone 15 Pro. But I spoke with the developer, Picomi, about this, right? And then, I told him like, why is the Switch version running at 30 frames per second? And then they told me straight up like, that it's because of the Switch hardware is not as good, so that's why we had to dumb it down a bit. But I gotta be honest, I kind of had to call BS on that, because like, how come games like Missplosion Man? For those who don't know, Missplosion Man was a game that came out on the Xbox 360 at the time, right? Xbox Live Arcade. It was a sequel to the original Explosion Man game, Twisted Pixel. But while the 360 version of Missplosion Man was like sub 30 frames per second, the Switch version was at a solid 60 frames per second and had far better loading times. And then you also hear about the excuse from gamers and even devs alike that engines like the Unreal Engine, the latest Unreal Engine, like Unreal Engine 4 or whatever, and the Unity engine, they don't work very well on the Switch. But then there's actually two Switch games. I know they're published by Nintendo though. That actually kind of proves that wrong in a sense, and that's Yoshi's Crafted World and Super Mario RPG, the remake. Both using the Unreal Engine 4 and the Unity engine respectively. But yet both of those games are like running at mostly a solid 60 frames per second. And so I'm just like, it just boggles the mind because it's like, well, in terms of like other games, like fully 3D games, like say Super Mario Odyssey runs mostly at a solid 60 frames per second, then you can have like other 3D platformers that just runs at 30 frames per second or even lower, and some even have terrible frame rate. And there's even again some 2D games that has the same amount of frame rate issues as well, and even some visual issues and stuff. So, and I think the problem is that when they look at the games that don't run very well on Switch, they like to make the claim that the Switch is like the equivalent of a Gamecom, or Gamecom. You know what I'm talking about, right? That thing from Tiger Electronics in comparison to the other systems.
Yeah.
But the Switch can do so much more than that, and I think by at best they seem to compare it to like say the 360 and PS3 hardware, even though the Switch is actually much more powerful than the 360 and the PS3 combined. It's even more powerful than the Wii U by some extension. It is the Switch's power is literally like almost like a bridge gap between the Wii U and Xbox One, base Xbox One and base PS4. But like the problem is that not many developers don't seem to optimize their games very well on it, and unfortunately, even some of Nintendo's second party devs seems to kind of like slacking off on that too. Like the less I say about how the Pokemon games are, the better. You know how those games are. But I think one of the more actually a much more egregious example being the Switch version of Miitopia. While there are some aspects of Miitopia that does look better than the 3DS version, there's some people who have pointed out like the textures in the Switch version arguably looks worse than the 3DS version. But what I can totally agree that I could totally see in general with the Switch port of Miitopia versus the 3DS, that it actually has frame rate dips on the Switch version, whereas the 3DS version hardly has any of that from my initial playthrough. As someone who's a major fan of Miitopia in general, So yeah, I could go on, and I'm sure all you guys seen all the crap that goes around with the arguments and stuff like that with the gaming community and the devs, and especially Digital Foundry. Like yeah, there are some aspects I will say, like yeah, there are some games that were definitely specifically made for PC in general that it looks super graphically taxing. But the fact like the Switch can even handle some of them pretty well is because of how optimized it well for the most part. It is pretty great. But yeah. But yeah, so what are you guys' thoughts on the whole thing?
I don't even know where to start other than when you mention developers citing certain things, the right questions need to be asked. when they say, "Oh well, it's the Switch's hardware," and things of that nature, then you put them on the spot. Okay, what's the benchmark? What do you need to get where you are? Say exactly what that spec is, and say how Switch isn't getting there. Those questions aren't being asked because the whole thing is to say the narrative that the thing is bad. And before Switch came out, everybody was bragging about how well the Tegra X1 was in Unreal Engine demos. As soon as Nintendo said they were using them as a partner, all that praise went away. That takes nothing, but you don't have to use the Wayback Machine. You can see that, like they didn't because that wasn't connected directly to Nintendo. You could just go back and look at any reviews or any type of responses to the Tegra X1 reveal and the Unreal Engine reveal for it. The same people that were bashing Switch were praising the Tegra X1 when it was first revealed and that Unreal Engine demo was around. The Fire Night demo.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. I did saw a video of that one, like being run on the Tegra X1, which is the same chip that the Switch uses.
Yes. So, and the other thing is, for them to say, I guess the other thing is, you just have to have your foot on the neck of the people that are saying the things that they're saying. Because if I was a journalist asking these people this, and they say, well, the CPU is this, and it can't do this, and blah, blah, blah. And well, okay. But the Cortex cores in the CPU of the Tegra X1 are significantly more capable per core than the PS4 is. Are you saying that a PS4's architecture is behind the means of what developers need currently? And if that's the case, why are you still making PS4 games?
That's something I do want to add on that, funny enough, because there is a recent game that just came out called Contra Operation Galuga. Like, someone who played the demos of the Switch version and the PS4 and the PS5 version of Operation Galuga, like even the PS4 version doesn't run at 60 frames per second. It's like, and that is like a 2.5D game. Like why does it have to take up to the PS5 to finally get that 60 frames per second experience? That should be 60 frames per second on all platforms.
Well,
it's it's a heavy optimization issue.
Yeah, that's your answer right there. So PS4 with 200 watts to work with, and 8 cores that it could throw, even if it was quote unquote underpowered compared to Switch, it has more cores to throw at it. So at some point you have to say, hey, look, maybe it's not the hardware.
No, and the other thing too, the reason why games are coming out on the PS4 is it's simple business. PS4 has how many units out in the wild? PS5 does not have that many.
Yeah. That's why I said PS4 and not Xbox One.
Yeah, because like they have that. They don't. There's not that many PS5s out in the wild as opposed to PS4s. And when you look at PS4, that's why a lot of those. When you saw those PlayStation Directs, their PlayStation Directs, you also every time you saw a game on there, at the end in little damn letters they'd have available on PS4 as well.
Yep.
Because you'd be a fool to not make your game compatible with PS4 when you got like 130 million out in the wild. You'd be a fool not to. Now when you barely hitting 40 right now.
I'll say this too. Let's say today, right? Switch had twice the amount of cores available. Say it went from 3 to 6 for developers, right? And let's just say it had 16 gigs of RAM to work with. It still wouldn't be anywhere. It wouldn't have an impact on performance anywhere near as important as the resolution difference between those two platforms. So since PS4 is supposedly targeting 1080p, your mileage will vary depending on the game. versus Switch, where the expectation is maybe 720p docked, 900p sometimes, 1080p. You know, if you could swing it, that's a huge gulf with regards to requirements that you need to render per frame. And that's kind of what I put out on Twitter a lot. And I'm like, hey, you know, you're saying this thing is an issue. Switch is running with 16x less resources. So why can't you make it happen? You can't tell me that your engine is 16 times more demanding. So now we know it's about money and time. There is no way that your engine became 16 times more demanding, regardless of the resolution increase, right? So you're telling me that going from 720p to 4K, right, now magically makes your game 16 times more demanding. So even if you aren't running at 4K, you still need that 16x performance. How? If the biggest determinant on performance is the increase in resolution and assets. But if you don't have that increase in resolution and assets, that's 16x you don't need. Right there, the conversation ends.
Yeah, like the thing is, like, the reason why I probably didn't like low key call out the developer on it, because I don't know, I just didn't want to seem like an asshole about it. You know.
Understandable. This is more for
Yeah.
the quote unquote journalists out there in the wild. That they get to talk to developers all the time, and they avoid those questions like the plague. So it's more for them than for you. It wasn't a shot at you.
Right. Yeah. But you know, it is a unfortunate circumstances of what's going on. Like we can all agree that the Switch is more capable of doing a lot more things than what the journalists and the gaming community perceives it as. You know.
Well, first of all, sometimes you got to look at who actually writes the article, because a lot of those people ain't journalists; they're like blog posters and freelancers. So a lot of those people that write those articles aren't really
Yeah,
fake journalists.
because they can't afford
really
to pay
not.
nobody full time, so
Yeah.
they get freelancers to do the work.
Yeah, like anytime you go to like Game Rant, IGN, videogames.com, all those guys, like when they do that stuff, most of those people aren't real journalists. They just get freelancers and bloggers to do it. So the one is because we get way more games than we used to. So there's no way in the world. There is absolutely no way they're hiring that many people to cover every game. They can't do it. Nobody can do that.
I wonder if the NDA period is over, but I have an original Snowball Entertainment contract for if you wanted to write pro bono for them.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Everything that you're required to do, say, and not say, and agree to, in terms of writing for them is laid out, and it's pretty gross. It's even more gross now in the future as you acquire more and more knowledge, because at the time, you're talking almost 20 years ago, but they were doing that back then, so now it's even worse.
Yeah, but not to play devil's advocate, but just being somebody that's like actually looking at the situation, there is no way in hell anybody can cover all these games we get. There's no way. There's no way. Nobody has that workforce to be able to cover mobile, indie, not to mention the AAA and double A. There's too many. Dude, just this last week, next week, Tales of Kinzarazal, Yuden Chronicle, the Crab Game, and there's a major one.
Ooh, the Crab Game.
Yeah.
Tao, the Tao game.
Yeah.
The Metroidvania African game.
I mentioned that one. But yeah, there's like 5. That's just next week. That's just this coming week. That's 5. Last week it was like 6. There's so many that's coming out. There's no way anybody can keep up with. No company can keep up with that. There's no way. And they ain't paying everybody.
Right.
Because they ain't got money like that. IGN ain't got money like that. IGN does not have money like that to put everybody on payroll.
No, they don't.
They don't. So that's the Stellar Blade. That's the one. And Sandland. So yeah, and this has been going on since what, February? We've been getting like at least 3 or 4 major releases every 2 weeks because we're still playing catch up from the pandemic.
Mhm.
Yep.
We're still playing catch up. I know people like to say the pandemic don't count. Yeah, it do. Because stuff got pushed back. So
A lot of
we're at
things
that
did.
now. And if you're a lover of movies, a whole bunch of stuff finna get dropped week after week after week, probably twice in the same week because of the strikes last year, where they had to push stuff back.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anytime something like that happens, entertainment industry gonna get their money. And that means if we gotta double up on stuff, we will double up on stuff. Y'all figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we got to get it out. We can't just keep it. We lose money keeping it on the shelf.
Right.
And I think that's the other thing too. A lot of these quote unquote devs, they don't have their own budget. The publisher has their budget. Literally, they have them buy the balls. And in addition to that, it's usually on credit, which means they owe money if they don't ship a product, and they'll end up in debt and they have to close the studio. So considering that's how gaming has become now, instead of ship good game and maybe you make money and it goes directly in your pocket.
Mhm.
Now it's basically like the drug game. You're going to get a front, right? You get your money and then you try to go and distribute your product, and now the person that gave you the front is like, I need my money back, like yesterday.
Right.
That's why they use
Also with interest.
And
and
interest.
and that's why they using influencers. That's why you got all these YouTube, Twitch influencers, because they going like, look, man, the only way we can get this out is if y'all say good stuff about it, even if it's bad.
Yep. Bought and sold.
Yeah, so that's why you have to be real careful who you listen to. But on that note, we're going to continue the downward spiral here. Apparently, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is reportedly not selling well. My question is, was the decision to make it a console exclusive the right decision when it costs that much to make? Because that's the other thing that people aren't putting out. I don't have a problem. Y'all know I love exclusives because exclusives gives you a reason to purchase said console. But if your game is as much as a blockbuster movie and you're not in the movie industry, because the gaming industry and the movie industry are two different things. There's way more movie fans than there are game fans. You're not gonna make your money back, and plus, people ain't spending $60 on one ticket for a movie. They just
No, they're not.
So there's that too. So here's the thing: was the decision to make it console exclusive the right decision? If it's going, because I think, let me see if how much did because I know the first one was like $200 something million was FF7 Rebirth to make.
Well, the first remake was 300 million.
Yeah, that one was that was that. The second one was 250 million approximately. So those are blockbuster movie numbers.
Mhm.
Do you put that on one system and hope for the best? Not one system, just the PS5, because you probably could have put it on the PS4 if they had the PS4 Pro, but we're not going to go into that right now.
That's funny because that was part of the conversation that I was talking about the whole resolution situation. Yeah. Somebody had commented and said, well, if it's going to be that low of a resolution, I might as well play it on the PS1 originally. And I'm like, 64,000 pixels per frame versus almost 1 million. I don't know. That's a stark difference. You can't just say Switch and PS1 are the exact same. It's not night and day, not even close. But it's really odd because Octopath Traveler showed up. If anything, not even Octopath Traveler.
All those HD 2D games.
The fact that Cloud Strife broke the internet being a Smash Brothers character.
And Sephiroth.
So the moment that happened, marketing executives, not necessarily CEOs or whatnot, but marketing executives should have been screaming at that point, really towards the end of the Wii U's life, to say maybe, just maybe, we should probably try to ship a Nintendo product. If Wii U is failing, quote unquote, we need to ship something on 3DS and whatever their new system is.
Isn't that why they gave them the original instead of the remake? The remake?
Because it's a quick and dirty port.
Yeah, it's a quick and dirty port. Yeah.
They didn't even bother putting the quote unquote mobile version of Final Fantasy VII Remake in the sense.
No, they ported the PC version.
Yeah. The only mobile one they did was Final Fantasy 15. That Final Fantasy 15 Pocket thing, they did that. But
Actually, what I was talking about is like there was like a mobile version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, basically that is sort of like a
Oh, remake.
blend
Yeah,
between
I think I've done that.
um uh the console version and the original game in a sense. So
Yeah, I guess when you get to that point, you're getting bespoke anyway, so you might as well make a Nintendo version. But I'm still to the point where uh, asking same developers, "Hey, how long does it take for you to get code up and running on Switch?" And they're like 24 hours. So at that point, you're telling me if it's a year long project, you're spending the better part of 365 days optimizing the game and making sure that it's
yeah, it
smooth on
works. Yeah.
Switch. And that's just a quick and dirty port that over a year long compared to, I don't know, 6 to 8 years on a project on a PlayStation platform. So, or 2 or 3 years if it's ported to an Xbox system. So it when you get that amount of return or that quick amount of return in such a short period of time and a much smaller team, you could at least attempt to make the effort. And especially when you're just like, hey, well, I know Sony's willing to bankroll this project, but do you see what Sony does once they bankroll other projects? What happened to those studios? Yes, you're Square and you're a big third-party company, but what are they going to do when your product doesn't produce?
Plus, they're hemorrhaging money still.
That name isn't gonna guarantee you another loan.
Yeah.
So
I
now,
know.
as now, you got to go to Square Enix proper as the publisher, and the whole reason you went to Sony in the first place is because they couldn't afford it.
Right.
I know, like everyone has been saying this on Twitter, but like the fact that Sony has pretty much kind of like given up their quote unquote Japanese side, the one side that actually was integral to Sony and the PlayStation success since the PS1, in favor of these more big blockbuster AAA games that we're getting nowadays from Sony and the PlayStation. Like it's honestly a terrible decision they made in the long run, you know. And the fact that they did that is the reason why that they're most of these studios, especially Sony, are kind of like losing a lot of money or not even getting as much money in return as they're getting because they're just putting so much money to make these AAA, quality and movie blockbuster experiences where in reality they need to like kind of balance that out with like the more budgeted games, like a Parappa the Rapper or Patapon, Gravity Rush.
Yeah,
That was
Gravity
called?
Rush.
Yeah,
Gravity Rush.
yeah, but yeah, Sony just got rid of those.
It's funny because Sean Layden, and y'all know how I feel about Sean Layden, recently came out and said the exact same thing. But I'm like, bro, you saying that, but you the one that ushered that mess in. The cinematic, want to do all cinematic games, and now you done messed around, made your fan base like that, and now you're mad because your fan base ain't really buying them games like that. Because
Sony grew up with us.
Yeah, like the problem with that is I'm like, bro, like y'all did that to yourselves. That's why I personally don't feel sorry for you because you should have stopped trying to keep up with Microsoft. You didn't have Microsoft money. You don't have Microsoft money. Microsoft is $1 trillion company. Sony clearly is not. So you have to be smart about it. And they went and made their fan base like, hey, we're gonna give y'all all these movie quality cinematic games, and I'm like, yeah, but they're not buying them, and they're not evergreen. Like people get mad about Legend of Zelda not ever going down in price, but why would it? Smash Bros. Is never going down in price. Why would it? You're buying it.
The few games that are evergreen on PlayStation platforms, it's not for the reason that you think they are.
Yeah,
it's because they're $10 now.
Yeah, they're on. Every time there's a sale, Spring Sale, Memorial Day, Independence Day, President's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Labor Day. Every time there's a sale, they're between what, $5 and $15.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. You want to lock them into your digital platform, which is fine. That's cool. If they buy more games, that means they're more likely to scroll online to look for more games or what have you. But you still have a big audience out there that buys games physical. Yeah. And if you think that they're just going to install a game, then go online and look for the next one when they bought the last one physical, they're going to wait to buy the next game physical. And then they're just going to either continue to play the game that they just bought or wait until the game that they want to buy next is $10 at the end of the year, like they usually are, catch it on sale or whatever. And then you don't make any profit off of that $200-300 million project. And that's the majority of the sales that you get from your games. You're not in the black.
Yeah. You're basically still in the red because you decided to sell this game because that's what Ubisoft is doing. Ubisoft makes a game for what, 150 million, then wonder why it didn't sell. Like, bro, because you immediately afterwards you made it $5-10.
And I think
it needs to be 60 to make profit. You need to make millions at 60, not millions at $10.
I think what makes it worse is that's just what we know from what the announced budget is. We never assumed or took into account for the fact that the project could have been over budget.
Yeah, or
the budget could have been 200 million, and they could have doubled that budget, and they actually need way more than 200 million to break even.
Because something like Final Fantasy VII, they did more marketing after their initial budget. They did.
And the longer a project takes, the more likely that is.
Yeah, so you kind of know that. But here's another thing that I thought was actually interesting, and this was actually on Push Square. Kena Bridge of Spirits is coming to other platforms.
It should come to Switch.
Not a surprise.
I wasn't surprised either. I thought it would have been there quicker. I thought they would have did that quicker. But because Pathless couldn't run on nothing but the PS5 because they had to do with the power of the PS5, and themselves expectations didn't get met, and now it's on Switch and Xbox.
Oh. Just like all the other games that couldn't run without the power of the PS5 that are on PC.
And
running on regular hard drives.
And they're not only PC, they own some of them on other stuff too.
Some of them on Switch.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I thought this has got to be the generation for stuff that can't run to once you realize they don't have
they got magical power.
Magical powers they run.
So Gilligan, like I don't know how long you've been following me, but does any of this sound familiar from any of the Shadowcasts I've been doing for God knows how many years?
Yes. Actually, like I've been following your tweets on Twitter for a very long time. I've been knowing you for probably almost about a decade. Probably as long as I known of people like Dr. Trey 1 and Andre, game idea guy. So I'm sorry if I sound a bit out of breath because I was like walking up the stairs.
Oh, not a problem.
Don't worry, I was doing the same stuff.
I'm gonna go all over the place, trying to prepare dinner. But yeah, and what's funny is that there was this tweet I think by the Juice Man. I don't think he's the same guy as Terminator Juice or whatever.
They're different people.
They're different people. He made a response about the whole Final Fantasy Rebirth not selling well thing, and he said that I think it's time for Square Enix to really like focus more onto Nintendo than just being on PlayStation and stuff like that. But what's kind of sad is that you got people going out there, thinking these dumb jokes about these dumb jokes about how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is gonna destroy the Switch and stuff.
I'll even say real talk. Like, just I don't know if it's like, like when a relationship just gets toxic, but like the two just don't realize that like it probably should have been over a while ago, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason, they like, we can still make it work. Like, remember when we first started dating and like it was just so great and everything was like great about us, and everybody was talking about how happy we looked together, and like that's the Square. I wouldn't even say Square Enix. That's the Final Fantasy and like Sony relationship to a T. And like now it's just to the point where it's like, yeah, this stuff is costing so much, but it's almost like it's like perfect of a relationship, because it's almost like Sony is like, I still kind of love you, but I feel like you should always like look better, like do something with yourself, like you add some makeup or something, like make yourself prettier to me. You know what I'm saying? And so like going up from even like back when they first had Final Fantasy to now, I know that they know that people have always been like, oh my gosh, like these Final Fantasy graphics just keep looking better and better. Like they look so great. And now that Final Fantasy is like this cougar now, it's like, I want you to put on this extra makeup for me and show off for me. And it's not really selling like it used to. It's not doing those numbers. And so instead of Square Enix being wise and being like, hey, we may be selling however much on PlayStation, why not make that available to everybody and we could still sell more? Sony's like, I'm not letting you not showing off for nobody else but me. Like, that's just how this relationship is going to work. And it's unfortunate because it's going to come to a point where like everything else that's happening right now, it's going to implode on itself. Especially with how much Square values the Final Fantasy franchise, and how much that is eating into why they're already bleeding money. So it's just one of those situations where it's like, yeah, they definitely. So Nintendo, White Knight, somebody, I don't care, somebody, White Knight, your girl, save her.
The funny thing about it is like they had no problem putting like the HD 2D stuff on Switch and it's selling.
Yeah, hand off your offsprings to everybody else, but don't take the main chick.
Yeah, so like Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, like, and the HD 2D keeps getting better and better and better. Team Asano, mad props to Team Asano, dude, because they've been killing it. Them and RPG Factory, Tokyo RPG Factory, they've been killing it.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, they're making those games that hit that feed that itch, but when they want to do something big like a Kingdom Hearts or a Final Fantasy, the next thing you realize is, one, they're making it way too big and it's costing way too much. Because I've said this on multiple occasions. No video game should be costing over $100 million.
Right.
No video game should cost over $100 million. I can understand with inflation nowadays, you're going to get some that's going to be like 20, 30 mil, depending on what you're doing. But no game should cost over $100 million. If you want to make a TV show, make a TV show. If you want to make a movie, make a movie.
Yep.
Like, look, I get y'all want to say Last of Us is this great experience, bro. I read The Road and I know what Walking Dead is. That's The Last of Us.
But when the president of your development studio makes $500,000 a year, even if you hire contractors, you're already at an L.
Yeah, you're already at an L. So you hustling backwards.
And that doesn't include bonuses, which they obviously get.
Yeah, because some especially exec bonuses, bruh. Y'all remember when everybody was mad at CD Projekt Red because of Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm like, y'all mad at the wrong people, and I got told I didn't know what I was talking about, and I'm like, bruh, them execs, this ain't them, this is them execs. Execs wanted that out.
Yep.
Because they wanted it, they wanted them returns for that for the fiscal year drop.
Because the investors wanted it.
Yeah. So y'all got mad at the wrong people. Now, yes, And there was very little they could do about it, because if those investors, if those execs say, "Hey, I want that game out now," you're gonna put it out now.
Yep.
They don't care if it's not working or not. They ain't gamers. They don't care.
Right.
The hell do they care? And to be completely honest, a lot of times gamers be sitting there saying, "Well, just give me the game. I'll play. You can patch it later." I've heard people say that.
And
Starfield. They said that, and then when the game dropped, they got mad.
Like, how thirsty are you?
Right.
Put the game out.
How thirsty are you? Like, it's just so strange to me.
You can't get mad when they do what you want them to do. Now, me personally, I know how Bethesda operates, so I'm like, I'll wait 8 months before I pick it up, because I understand I got burned twice. It will never happen again.
I'll wait till the new year.
Yeah,
thank you.
I will wait. Thank you. So yeah, there's that. But I'm like, so that's why I say a lot of times gamers have to take responsibility, because if you ask for it and they did exactly what you said, you can't get mad. I can't believe this ain't playing at 60 frames a second in 4K, bro.
Oh well,
bro. Did you not read the email I got when Square Enix sent me that email about Avengers? They said if you want to play in 60 frames a second consistent, you're gonna have to put it. You can't play in 4K. You got to play it in 1080.
You know what should have happened. And just scientifically speaking here, what should have happened is a lot of ports to Switch should have shown up being 720p or so and being 60 frames per second all the time. And then all the PS4 and the Series X games would have struggled with 30 or whatever, because they're trying to do ray tracing in 4K and all that other kind of stuff. I think we know why that isn't happening, and it has nothing to do with the hardware. Because there were 60 frames per second games on Wii U.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of them, but nobody said nothing.
Yeah, it's a design choice from scratch anyway when you start a project, but it definitely, Switch was overkill. When you take a CPU that Sony and Microsoft wanted for their 8th generation platforms, and you make that your main CPU, and it doesn't have to draw 1440p or 1080p all the time or anything like that, and you restrain it by battery, yeah, come on. Like, you're able to do whatever you want. Because now if you're talking about portably, you could dial down to 480p if you want to. You really think those engines don't run now? Or do they run better? Because you're running at significantly lower resolution. Again, resolution is the greatest impact on performance. There's no, we got more cores, or we throw more RAM at it, or we use, smaller textures. As soon as you reduce the internal resolution of the game, it exponentially decreases or increases the demand on the subsystem. So if you're a system that was built for 1080p and you're running 720p and below the majority of the time, shouldn't have too many issues. Unless it's the engine or it's by design. Because how would it look if the majority of every port on Switch was running 60 frames per second? Regardless of resolution, if it was running 60 frames per second and the other platforms just kind of all over the place.
But Shadow, Digital Foundry told me that it ran at 58 frames a second.
Digital Foundry.
But they didn't make a big deal about when that copied frame was magically gone in the Switch version.
But 58 frames a second.
Yeah. No. It was 59.8 frames per second. No,
that was when Luigi did the stare down. That's when that happened.
His stare was so strong it removed 2 frames.
It moved 2 frames. And look, I joke, but that's why I stopped paying attention to Digital Foundry. When they did that with Mario Kart, I'm like, really, bro?
And I'm like,
at this point, we being petty.
59.9. I can definitely tell.
You're holding A and pressing a trigger every now and again as you go around corners. Like, are you really noticing a copied frame?
No. The people that keep saying that, I'm like, okay, what's your mutant power and why you ain't at Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters? Because like y'all be saying stuff be 60 frames a second and you should know. And then I'm like, okay, well, what about Witcher 3 on Xbox? Is that 60 frames a second? And we all know that's not true. Was their Automata running at 60 frames a second on Xbox One X?
Hold on.
Was it?
I'll do you one better. Why was 45 frames per second acceptable for Steam Deck?
And we did a whole podcast episode about that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the Steam Deck, the Switch killer.
Yep. All of its 800p glory.
Oh man,
Those-
45 seconds is
Those
a real
extra
sweet
80
spot.
horizontal pixels are.
Anytime somebody says something is a blank killer, that thing never kills the thing they say it's supposed to
Ever.
Ever.
They
Those
haven't
like-
confirmed whether they sold 3 million or not yet.
They're not going to, man. Stop saying the
It was like-
quiet part out loud.
It was like, hey, my job is to assassinate you, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Did we just put Simu and Yuzu in our ad? Sorry about that.
Oh boy, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Bro, they had to take that junk out. They killed the Discord too. Dude, the Discord's gone too. I was like, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Boy, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's I just know that obviously Nintendo platforms don't fit into the well.
Well,
They don't fit into the narrative at all. They buck the narrative 24/7. So they got to make exceptions and do weird things to keep their gimmick alive. And I do mean gimmick because what the media is pushing about consoles to get you to play them is a gimmick in itself.
Oh, you mean 8K? You mean playing in 8K? Even though we don't have TVs in 8K?
Ray tracing. Anybody remember when VR? They wanted VR. They wanted you to buy VR TVs. They wanted you to buy these glasses.
Remember the 3D? They wanted us to buy 3D TVs too.
Yep.
Remember that one?
But the 3D on the 3DS doesn't work.
Wait a minute. Not the TVs and the glasses.
The
Man, that was ridiculous.
Yep.
And them glasses was not cheap.
The
shit
was so high fidelity.
$800 boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Man, I watched one football game like that, and I was like, whatever. I'm done. I'm done.
It wasn't worth it. If it's not, a lot of people are starting to come to the point where it's not built into the console or the platform. They're not worried about it.
Yep.
Which is why I think that PSVR 2 being beholden to the PS5 is one of the dumbest things they could have done with it. They should have made it a separate platform.
I think if they make a PSVR 3 and it's in the box with the PlayStation 6, that would be probably one of the best selling platforms that they have. And that'd probably be the best selling VR games.
You're not spending $900 for no console. You're not.
It'll be prohibitively expensive knowing Sony, because what they won't do is try to save money on it. They'll make it really expensive and then try to sell it to you for $1,000.
And we got to add the Samsung the Samsung earbuds. We got to add those.
But
for $300. For $300, put a PS on.
It's bothering me though, because like Samsung made an AMOLED screen in 2011, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could take one of those with 1440p and put it in both eyes. That's a pretty good picture. Like, why couldn't you take that technology? Because it's old now. Why don't you take that
old
technology?
And cheap.
Yeah, old and cheap. Put that in each eye, and that could be your new PSVR. You got 1440p in each eye. Like, you can't. That's pretty good quality, and you could take that in. And now you don't need a real big computational power draw to power anything like that. You could run that with a phone battery, which means that it could effectively be wireless.
Yeah.
Put it in the box with the PlayStation, and you got a killer app.
Shadow, you are not seeing what JJ said. You got to go to 32K. You have to go to 32K.
Oh,
Damn,
And
8K.
look, you have upset the child.
32K, man, it's all bad.
You have upset the child with your plebeian 1440p, even though the stream is in 720.
Yeah.
I do want to add too, like about the PSVR 2, like the fact that the PSVR 2 is roughly as expensive, if not more expensive than the console itself, is ludicrous. Like, and the fact that it's not even selling well, from what I heard, like, and it's not even slashing the price cut, slashing the pricing on that yet is even more ridiculous.
I don't think they can afford to slash it down right now.
If it was selling well, Sony would be talking about it.
Yeah, they would. They would be bragging.
The worst part about it all is that Sony went into the PS3 and Sony went into the PS2 era, did what they did in the PS2 era, was like, yeah, we powerful, we strong. Went into the PS3 era and found out it wasn't all that, and they were like, dang, oh, we sorry, we learned a lesson. And then they went into the PS4 era, like, oh, my bad. Yeah, we strong. And went into the PS5, and now everything costs like an arm and a leg. Like, I think we added it up at one point. It's like $1,300 or $1,400 after you get done with the earbuds, the controllers, the like, it's ridiculous.
And God
the
forbid
PS
you got
Portal.
kids. God forbid you got kids, you got to buy multiple controllers.
Yeah. It's just it's at that point where it's like, man, like how many times we gonna teach you this lesson, old man? It's just it's getting ridiculous. Like, can there be like a happy medium Sony for like a whole generation? Can they be like a happy medium?
They can't do it now. Because of the mindset, they got the same problem Microsoft got. Because of the mindset that they've force fed their fan base, they can't do it. Like Nintendo can do pretty much. We expect Nintendo to be crazy. We expect if you have been following gaming at all, you expect Nintendo to not do the same thing. They're the outcast of gaming. You don't expect them to do the same thing that they did before. You just don't.
But you know what's so funny though? They kind of did everything Sony did. They succeeded at everything Sony couldn't do. Because I'll just do this. Show of hands if you own more than one Switch console. Who does not own more than one Switch console on this podcast?
Dang. I was just about to say me, but now that I think about it, my daughter even has a Switch. So I guess
I don't. There are not too many people in my friend group that don't have more than one, right?
I've bought more than one. Does that count?
Yeah,
because I've had to. Let's just say a certain.
You had to let him go.
Just yeah. Hence why I don't have kids.
Don't ever have kids if you're a gamer. Don't have kids. That's less games for you and less time for you to play set of games.
Yeah.
So, but Nintendo did because Sony wanted to get $1,000 out of you. Mm-hmm. Nintendo got $1,000 out of you because you bought hardware, whether it was multiple Switch consoles or controllers.
Actually, Shadow Fox.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off a bit, but my situation with my Switch is like I still only get like one, but it's things like I just get like a newer model like every couple of years or so. My latest one is the Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch. If I could bring up the camera. Oops. I'll just flip it right there.
So you got a Tears of the Kingdom one? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how many did you get? How many have you bought since launch?
Let's see.
Hold is it 1, 2, 4 actually.
So they got $1,000 out of you. So like you, so that's effectively a PS5 and a PSVR.
Oh yeah.
They did the thing. They did the thing that that Sony wanted to do. They wanted everybody to do, and it's a lot of people like so. It's 140 something million right now out there. So
I think it's 140 million.
So if you've got a couple of households that at least have two, you've effectively done the mission that Sony wanted to do, and you did it without having to do everything that Sony was trying to send to you and talk about all the specs and will give you cutting edge hardware and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, and if you think about it, Nintendo did give you cutting edge hardware at the time in 2017. But over time, they reiterated on it because they're like, we're going to make profit off this now. So we're going to make more models and continue to do whatever. And then we're going to make a smaller model.
Which I don't blame them.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you? That's what you're supposed to do anyway. That's
and not price drop.
Yeah.
Yes. Not a single price drop.
Especially when you're the cheapest in your industry anyway.
This is the Switch's 8th year. No price drop. Not a single
one. Don't need one.
I mean, look, they introduced the Lite. You don't need a price drop at that point.
Now, to be fair, this is year 3, and there hasn't been a price drop for any of the other systems either. So, and I don't know if that's an inflation thing or what.
There hasn't been a price drop. There hasn't been a price drop, but there have definitely been price increases in certain places.
Yeah, there's been some increases. Yeah. So I don't know if Nintendo kind of started that trend, or if that's just a post 2020 thing.
That might be a post 2020 thing because, like, dude, that pandemic messed up all. Remember,
it did.
It's global. It's global. It's a global economy. It's not like a region economy anymore. So that messed up a whole lot of stuff. So, and the inflation does not help. So, it's a mix of that.
I was hoping at some point they would have discounted the Series S because, like, you gotta imagine they're cheaper to make now.
But they can't afford to, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They really can't afford to at this point. So
they haven't sold enough of them, honestly.
Yeah, to do that. All right. So last thing we're gonna talk about, we're gonna try to end this on a bright note because all this negativity is hurting my cheek right now. So
I know.
Dreamcast, because I love that system, man. Why is it that I love the systems that didn't sell well? Anyway,
generally those are the ones that are more unique and have a thing to them that other consoles don't.
That's true.
Yeah.
Got to get Destiny on here so we can talk about the Virtual Boy.
Yeah. But
man, I ain't doing that one.
I'm trying to wonder, like, why does the Dreamcast, like, none of those games are anywhere on anybody's stores? Like, nobody has them. And I'm sitting there like, hey, Nintendo, don't y'all got a good report going with Sega? Y'all can't throw that on the NSO? I kind of want Skies of Arcadia.
I think those conversations were had. It's just a lot of those games. I don't think Sega even has the licensing rights for.
Well, I know they don't have Skies of Arcadia because they said they don't. Because the one of the people that produced that game, that worked on that game, was like, it's a lot of licensing stuff they have to go through to get that, because they wanted to do something with, like, the sequel, but they can't. It's the same thing they was having, same issue Sega had with, not Sega, Square Enix had with Final Fantasy VIII for all those years. They couldn't find half the licenses.
Wait, so Sega doesn't own Skies of Arcadia anymore?
No, it's something to do with the licensing. There's a lot of stuff in there, like the music and stuff, that was done at other places.
Yeah, and that's to do with
they own the IP, but not specifically the little intricate parts.
And then here's the other part too, right? So there's specific copyright situations with regards to code as well.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with a platform that no longer exists anymore, Sega kind of yeeted any and all of that once they killed Dreamcast as a brand. And since they don't have that as a brand anymore, all those licenses for code, and let's not also forget, you got to talk to Microsoft as well, since they designed the OS for the Dreamcast.
Right.
They own some of those licenses and some of those libraries as well. So for any of that stuff to appear anywhere, you've got to talk to at least those two people first. So that's
and hope they have it.
Yes, and that's not even like, say you want to talk about a third party game on Dreamcast. Now you've got to jump even more hoops to get to licensing for this game, and please let it not be a licensed Dreamcast game, because now you really got issues. So I don't know how any of those games would really show up anywhere, to be honest with you. That's a weird scenario.
The funny thing about it, though, like, some of them, like Skies of Arcadia and Sonic Adventure 2 did get ported to GameCube. Yep. So I'm wondering if it's one of those situations where somebody can find something. But I just always wondered, like, why? Because let's be real, the Dreamcast had a bunch of bangers on it.
Yeah,
it did. It definitely did. A lot of them overlooked too.
Yeah,
I think all the Sonic Team games can move on. I think they can kind of. I think they have to be rewritten though.
Well, yeah, they'd have to be remastered at some point.
But there's I think it's a real slim chance for any of the Dreamcast stuff to come back that isn't made by Sega. To be honest with you, for any platform that does, for any studio that doesn't exist anymore on the Sega, at least.
I know one game that could come back that I know they love doing remakes from Capcom, and that's Resident Evil Code Veronica. They love.
I'm so surprised that has not gotten the Resident Evil 4 treatment.
I think it's the same issue.
That shouldn't be the same issue.
It shouldn't, because they did re-release it on 360 and PS3.
Yeah.
Well, they released it on GameCube at the time, but it's that original code. I don't know. I think did it get a PC for it?
The code.
Yeah, I don't know if it got a PC for it. I don't know.
I think it did. Hold on, let me look real quick.
Yo, the fact that there wasn't even a Resident Evil 0 remake as well, which could have been perfect for utilizing the co-op like mechanic. You know, having like either split screen or online co-op between the characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'll take Resident Evil 0 on NSO at this point. I'll play the original N64 version. Like I'll take that if it comes down to it.
Dark Angel, I will tell you this: I will play Virtual Striker. I will play Virtual Cop. Just give me a gun attachment. I'll play. I'll play Space Harrier, and I've been fiending for an afterburner.
I was actually wrong. Code Veronica is the only one of the major Resident Evil games that never made it to PC.
So then that's Code. That's Code. I'm. Yeah, that's a license nightmare, man. I don't know. It's just really weird, and I didn't think about Code licensing until the whole GoldenEye situation came about.
Oh yeah, that was a nightmare.
And it's like, Rare's like, this can't go anywhere without us, right? And Nintendo's like, this can't go anywhere without us, right? And Microsoft's like, well, we own Rare, right? And MGM's like, it's our property.
MGM was like, and then, as soon as Microsoft said that, MGM has entered the chat. MGM has now entered the chat. Like, nah, bro, we own this partner.
But then Pierce Brosnan is like, but I own my likeness.
Yeah.
So
y'all use Daniel Craig for this this Wii version. Y'all use Daniel Craig because y'all ain't using me. Man,
it's just a weird scenario. Dreamcast is so god, and you wanted to end on a good note, like
You want to know why
a heartbreaking good note.
You want to know where the good note's coming from? When are we gonna get that trailer for the Sega games that they were remastering? Because I kind of want to see which ones they releasing this year.
Man, I'm happy from what I saw back then.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get it at I can't believe I'm actually gonna have to say this because I hate bringing this dude up. But we actually think we're gonna get it at Summer Games, or are they gonna Sega's gonna hold out?
I think they're gonna hold out.
They'll hold out.
They're gonna hold out for like Tokyo Game Show or something like that.
Probably,
or Nintendo Direct, or that random Nintendo Direct that shows up.
It's definitely. I don't think it's going to be Summer Games just because of how crowded that's going to be, and they probably don't want that particular thing to get lost in the riffraff.
Gotcha.
But probably something closer towards fall.
Sega's rebranding too, and I think they're going to do the same thing they did during the end of the 6th generation. I think they're going to try to get as much money from many hats as possible. Yep. So expect to see them with exclusive reveals at Xbox Direct, Sony Direct, and then Nintendo Direct. They'll have them all just kind of sprinkled throughout.
As long as Golden Axe gets to be the first one, so Vicky will be happy.
I'm just like, Sega, you know what to do with Jet Set Radio now. You have a blueprint.
And Jet Set Radio Future.
Yep.
And Crazy Taxi.
Yep. You definitely have a blueprint now.
Do Crazy Taxi
actually, going back to the whole licensing and copyright thing, like this kind of reminds me of like the whole Mother 3 situation where Nintendo strangely doesn't want to localize that game to the West, and some claim that it's because of some of the licensing in terms of its music and of that game, which I think a great YouTuber by the name of Moon Channel made a video about Mother 3 and why it has yet to come to the West. after all these years.
To be honest, though, can people? Because we got to think about like the time we living in. Can people actually handle Mother 3? Come on, man. People
some of the content too is
that content, man. They ain't gonna be able to handle that. I know people are begging for it, but it's the same people that claim they love Metroid, and then when they got Metroid Dread in their hands, they can't get out of a certain room.
We live in a world where Dead or Alive 2 would have people triggered.
Yeah.
So
I think the greatest example is Stella Blade. That you got these journalists like complaining about the design of the protagonist.
Yeah, come to find out, dude, wife is the one that drew her.
Yeah, it's a real person.
Yeah, but his wife drew her, and like people claiming it was a dude that needs to go out and meet women. I'm like his wife is right there, and she's the one that drew it.
The wife drew it, and the character, even though the character was based off of a model, the model and his wife don't look too different.
Yeah. So I'm sitting like, bruh. So yeah,
that's the Bayonetta situation where, and the Xenoblade situation where a lot of the artists were women that did all that.
It was so funny too that there is like a lot of like female artists on Twitter that that legitimately draw like these really like quote unquote sexualized female characters themselves, and they don't mind it. They embrace it even.
But that's what when you have the loud minority. That's what happens. You have a loud minority saying that, and then people just jump on it.
Yeah.
So
which is so strange to me because I grew up playing all these games where your main character always looked like He-Man. So
basically,
Fabio and whatnot. So I
they had the Harlequin romance novel. They had the Harlequin romance novel covers for the video games back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You see this just for no reason, like. Look like now
standing with his chest puffed out, shirt open and cut with an extreme V.
Yeah,
the loincloth was required for some reason.
Yeah,
and then you have his hair just barely over his shoulder. I'm like, why? Why is this?
And the game has nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that. But every character looked like Tusk for some reason. I'm like, we're in the future. Why are you dressed like that?
Dark Angel actually just hit on the point that I was about to make with Hades. I was like, y'all get mad at the design of Eve because you can switch the characters' clothes, but the characters in Hades are fine because agency. They're all pretty much naked, but agency is fine there. But Eve actually has to change the clothes herself. So are you saying she lacks agency to put the clothes on her body the way she wants them to look, even if the player picks them?
Yes.
That doesn't make sense.
I didn't say it made sense. I just said yes. Yes.
Oh.
Don't get me. It doesn't make any sense.
Don't get me started on Baldur's Gate 3 with the bear sex scene.
Look, we already had that long running joke here for a good minute because I was not letting that one rest. I was like, everybody's talking about you can ride a bear in Tears of the Kingdom, but you can ride a bear in Baldur's Gate.
That's why it won Game of the Year. Yeah,
so
and Jeff Keighley Awards.
I'm like, hold on, but if that's the case, then the Tears of the Kingdom should have won because you can still ride a bear. It's just not
not the way they can.
It's just not as intimately.
And I don't see the point. I don't see the point of being like extra, like we got to go all the way out here to make sure that we do all these things. It's already been done before. Like Gay Tony was there.
Yeah.
Like we found out that Samus was a girl in 1986. Like I don't know. Games have always been at the forefront of all that, so I don't really understand why the need.
Let's be real. It's been geek culture in general that's been at the forefront, and everybody else is playing catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, but Samus is not the first woman in gaming, though. She's not the first lady in gaming. It's Lara Croft. It's not Samus.
Oh, sure.
Oh, you mean the newcomer? The one that came out with the pointy polygon chest is the one that
the only Lara that counts.
Even though that's how people get introduced to her, and everyone forgets this, is that she had huge pointy polygonal boobs.
There was a cosplayer who actually put the
I remember that.
I love her.
Yeah,
that girl is funny. I love her, dude. She's awesome.
But that's how everybody got introduced to Laura. A lot of people didn't pay attention to her character until years down the line.
Yeah.
I
But
knew
Samus
that.
basically got introduced where you had to pay attention to her character first.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this girl really bad at strafing? That's how I was, that's how I was just like,
man.
I think
like,
it's
this game
because
is just.
I think it's because like around the 2010s is when gaming became a lot more mainstream nowadays than it ever has before, which is why like you got the people just complaining about the most trivial stuff here and there, and then even enforcing like game companies and devs to make some of the designs not look as good as they supposed to. You know what I'm saying?
Because they're not real people, even though real people exist that look like the characters. I'm like, yeah.
And you can see the pictures that they're using as reference. Anyway,
look, we all got told for years that there is no woman on the face of this planet that looks like Chun-Li. But yet there's a woman walking around.
There's a doctor in China that looks exactly like Chun-Li.
Remember, she was wearing that black dress and then showed off her thick, muscular legs. Like, man,
yep,
you don't want her to kick you.
Like,
let me just. She's actually pretty cool. She's funny. I follow her on Instagram. She's actually pretty cool.
Let me just say this though. Like, I don't mind any type of body type, if anything. Like, I do like the fact that if there's like more diverse of types of bodies. But I think the problem is that what the game companies and developers are doing is like they're like trying to have their cake and eat it too situation. Like well, for example, like the recent update with Pokemon Go that they just made the avatars look like squares basically.
What?
For some reason. Yeah, like especially the female characters, they look like squares for no reason, and they try to write it off like, oh, now we'll make the avatar look more like you. Like if you're gonna make that slogan and say now you can have your avatar to be more like you, why not add in more customization to your avatars? Like why can't we have a more muscular avatar or skinny avatar? Or fat avatar, why can't we have that? That has been a thing for like years, especially in games like Soul Calibur.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
We have all this processing power and all this technology. Fix black hair.
Please.
Oh God, yeah.
Please. No more Killmonger.
First of all, sir, Killmonger haircut all my friends have the Killmonger haircut.
No, they don't.
That is valid.
I mean, look, listen, because 2, maybe 3 people that have ever existed with that hairstyle does not make it a fashion statement.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm like, at this point, Michael B. Jordan really does need to get royalties off of that. He really does. Michael B. Jordan needs to get royalties off of that because this is good. And developers, can I tell y'all something? I know y'all probably not watching, but can I tell y'all something? Please get more than 4 black friends because apparently y'all don't have any black friends. Apparently y'all don't.
Also, black people know how to code. You can hire them.
Go outside
there
your
are
circle.
plenty of us in tech.
Go outside your circle.
And if they can code, they might be able to manage projects. So they can even be higher up at your staff too.
They can probably help you out. All right. So that being said, we're going to drop it here tonight. Thank you everybody in the chat. We appreciate you for showing up and having one of the best chat rooms in gaming podcast history. Shadow, anything you want to pimp out?
Channel dead, but it's alive, but it's dead. You can follow me on Nowhere, and video will drop whenever I fucking feel like it. Sorry for cursing, but
it's all good, man. Look,
I'm tired of y'all asking me,
bro. I feel your pain. I have no idea why Atlanta paid Kirk Cousins that much either.
That'll do it. Good night, everybody.
What about you, man?
We did our best game of each generation yesterday. That was part 2. We figured we were going to do a part 3 because we were creeping. We were creeping on part 2. We just had a whole lot of like side banter and stuff like that, which was fun. It was fun.
I did not help that situation at all.
Yeah, yeah.
What generation did y'all get stuck on?
We are now on we just finished
8th gen.
so we just started 8th. Yeah, so we got 8th and 9th to go before we pick out a winner. And the seventh generation is, to me, is probably one of the strongest on trying to pick out like a singular best game. That's really kind of hard.
I'm surprised y'all made it through 6.
Yeah.
We got to 3 hours in the first and going through the 6. So yeah, it was quite long. So but yeah, so we'll do part 3 coming up here soon. So we'll have a winner for that. But if you want to check out how that went yesterday, we had that. Also, shout outs to Trey Vito, who has surpassed 200 subscribers. So awesome job on that. He's going to be picking out a winner for his road to 200 as well. We got the road to 500. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we are at 570 something or other. I can't remember. But we're getting close to that road, or not 470 something. Getting close to that road to 500, where we're giving away a $50 gift card. You can also catch me tomorrow on Terminator Juice's channel. If he does have a podcast tomorrow, I will be on that as well at 7 o'clock. And yeah. Oh, and make sure you subscribe to all our peoples. I'm pointing the wrong way. Is this the right way? This is the right. No, this way. There we go. There. To all our people. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to everybody. Yeah, hit the like button. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Don't forget to hit the lights on the way out. Andre.
Well, I mean, yesterday I did have a very decently long live stream talking about gaming being in or not in a rut and gamers' attitudes, as well as being in the comment section of the Stormcast and promoting some debauchery. Now, just quick, because this is funny to me, but would people be interested in a series called Certified Diddy Moments in Gaming?
Please don't. Please don't.
Please don't begin and end with Itagaki for some reason.
Yeah. Please don't.
I'm talking strictly stuff that happens in games, nothing personal outside people's lives, just weird moments.
Bro, that rabbit hole, I don't even want to go down that one. No. With the way
every
Diddy was
Dragon Ball
acting.
game.
I mean,
Every Dragon Ball game, yeah.
Look, God of War itself, you have so many moments.
Yeah.
So many.
Witcher. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
God of War is way worse than Witcher.
All of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. All of it.
Nah, that's subjective. That's subjective.
We are not talking about the innocent, mischievous Kong.
I don't know, because Poppy exists, and that's a really strange story.
You talking about Poppy QT Pie?
Yeah. Yeah,
Look, I'm just telling y'all should check out last night's Stormcast because it got funny. That's
yeah, it got wild.
It was horrible. It was horrible but beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, y'all so wrong for that. All right, Gilligan, man.
My final thoughts.
Yep.
What I've been doing. Well, like I said before, I've been like gaming and stuff. But secretly, actually not so secretly in a sense, I've been working on a SpongeBob fan comic with a very good and very close friend of mine named Mofetta from Brooklyn. Like he's a great artist. Big major shout out to him, by the way. So we're basically going to be making that and stuff like that. So I have like a sort of like an art Twitter on that you can find in my Twitter profile. It's called Island Seas. So you can find the artwork from there and stuff. I've also been spreading it around on like Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, sometimes Threads, but I hardly use Threads anymore. But yeah, and let's see. There's like one thing that I was about to say, but it kind of slipped out of my mind. But I'll probably remember it next time if I ever get a chance to.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Actually, no, it came to me now. I want to say like as about Baldur's Gate 3, right? Like I haven't played the game myself, but I'm sure that the game is really good. Like I have another close friend who really loves the game, you know. So like all those jokes that we made about the whole bear scene, you know. Like I said, you're not saying. At least I'm not saying this to like downplay Baldur's Gate 3 as a whole. Baldur's Gate 3, I can tell it's a good game or great game even.
Mhm.
So, and definitely, I definitely won't like, you know, flunk those who enjoy it. So
Oh
there's
no,
that.
never that. But they the ones that put that bear. They the ones that put that bear trailer out, not us.
Yeah.
They
That bear
the ones that
trail
did that, not us.
they knew it was a memeable moment. That's why they did it.
Yeah, that's why they did it. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no other reason to do that unless you're trying to start something.
Yeah, it makes sense. I could tell they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, that's why they won Game of the Year.
Yep. Mhm. They know what their fan base want, what their fan base need, but yeah.
They need to make a physical version for Mac, though. I know that. They do that, I'm in.
Yeah, they're not doing that. So
Physical version?
Yeah, there's no physical copy. This is the only platform that doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Actually, I do have one more thing to say about that. Remember that little lie Sony told to dunk on Microsoft over a decade ago? Remember that? With the whole you can trade your games all you want. Yeah. Look what that's going on.
Yeah.
Especially with physical copies.
Yeah.
That's gone after 8th generation.
Ain't nobody paying for no $100 high def disc. Ain't nobody paying for that. So
which is funny because that means Microsoft was right the entire time.
Basically, I mean,
because we ended up doing it anyway.
Right.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Wii U and Switch are like the last systems to basically have like the entire game into the physical hardware, the physical software.
Yep.
So,
but all right, people, we will see you guys next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So peace out. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace out. Thanks you for adding me in.
Yep.